Well, hello everybody and welcome to Jeff's Baking Blog. Today I'm going to make some pecan squares or pecan bars. So I'm going to have a shortbread-like base, just a very simple base with flour, sugar, butter and a little bit of salt. I'll pack that down, bake it off a little bit, and then I'm going to put on top of that a pecan filling, which is going to use some golden syrup, eggs, vanilla extract, pecans and salt basically, and some brown sugar. So I start off by preheating my oven to 180 degrees Celsius, 160 Celsius with a fan, 350 Fahrenheit, and I've lined a 9-inch square pan with parchment paper. That's 23 centimeters square. I don't have one with squared edges, so my corners will be slightly rounded, but that's fine. So with that ready as well, I'll go on to the ingredients. And for the base, I have 200 grams, which is 1 1/3 cup, based on scooping packed flour into a 250 milliliter cup of plain flour. I have 44 grams, about 5.5 tablespoons of icing sugar, 113 grams, 8 tablespoons of melted unsalted butter, and that's just cooling down, and 1.5 grams, 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And for the topping, I have 100 grams of chopped pecans, that is about 1 cup, and I've actually put those onto a baking tray and toasted those in the oven for about 10 minutes just to bring out the flavour, and you can chop those as small or as large as you like basically. So that's the pecans. Then I have 350 grams, which is 1.5 cups of golden syrup. You could use maple syrup if you have that, but golden syrup, you could use corn syrup of some sort as well if you want to, but I like golden syrup, so that's going to be what I'm going to use there. I have 28 grams, 3 tablespoons of plain flour, and I have here 130 grams of eggs. That works out at 3 medium eggs just about for me, which would be large in the USA. If you're slightly above or slightly below that weight, I don't think it matters too much, simply because they're going to be the setting agent, and it will set fine anyway. I have 95 grams, half a cup minus 1 teaspoon of brown sugar, 3 grams, half a teaspoon of salt, and 10 millilitres, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. And the first thing we need to do is to make the base, which is going to be very, very easy. I'm simply going to put the flour and the icing sugar and the salt into a bowl. I'm going to mix those around with a whisk just to get those combined. And then I'm going to pour in my melted butter, and I'm going to mix that around until it comes together. It will clump, and you can go as far with this as you like. You can have it in clumps, or you can actually squeeze it together into a dough. It's entirely up to you, because we're simply going to press it into the base of our pan. So that's good like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that into my pan. and I'm going to spread it around and press it down to cover the base. And with that in there, I'm going to use the back of a spoon to smooth that off and try to make it as level as I can. But you can leave it roughly pressed if you want to, it doesn't matter. But I want to try to get it fairly level if I can. And that's fairly level. As I said, you can leave it roughly pressed if you want to. And I'm going to put that into my oven, and I'm going to bake it for about probably about 18 minutes. It won't be fully baked through by then, but it will be baked enough ready to take our topping. So once the 18 minutes is up, I'll come back and we'll also make the topping and put that onto it and bake it again. So I baked my base for 18 minutes and it began to colour around the edges. I took it out of the oven and it's still warm now, but it's ready to receive the topping once we've made it. So we'll go on to do that. But before I do, let me just mention that in the ingredients, I said 360 millilitres, 1.5 cups of golden syrup or maple syrup, etc., when I actually meant 240 millilitres. So that's what I'm going to write on the screen when I list the ingredients on the screen. So we'll go on to mix the topping and add it into our pan and get baking. So I'll put the sugar into my bowl and the vanilla extract and the eggs and my syrup, and then I will mix those together . And with that mixed together, I'm going to stir in my flour, but I'm actually going to sift the flour onto the surface a little bit at a time. That will help to prevent any clumps, I think. And I'll put my salt in as well. And then I'm going to add in the pecans and give those a good stir through. And then I can pour that onto my base. And with that on the base, I'm just going to move the pecans so that they seem to be fairly evenly spread throughout. Like that. That's good. So I'm going to put that into the oven and I'm going to bake it for about 25 minutes until it's just about set in the centre. And at that stage I'll take it out of the oven and I'm going to leave it to cool in the tin. Now you can speed that process up at some stage if you want to by putting it into the fridge, but once mine is cool I'll come back and I'll cut it and we'll have a taste. Well, I baked my pecan bars or squares for 25 minutes and it was still not quite cooked in the centre, so I left it in for another 5 minutes. Then I took it out of the oven and left it in the tin until it was just about cool. I took it out of the tin and I've cut it into pieces. Now around the edge a little bit of the liquid from the topping seeped down the sides, which is perfectly fine. It baked through, but it means that the edges were a little bit softer than I might have wanted, but that's perfectly fine. So I'll show you what these ones look like. And they're baked up quite nicely. You have the base and then the filling and then the top. And the filling, you can have that more gooey if you want to by eating it before it's fully set. But I like it like this. So I'll have a taste of one that I've already been biting into. The base is nice and soft and buttery. The filling is a lovely caramelly type flavour, and then the nuts as well, giving a nice crunch, and the roasting them does allow that flavour of the pecan to come through that little bit better as well. So very, very tasty, quite sweet, but if you cut them into small pieces, that's perfectly fine. So that's going to be it for this recipe. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have, please give me the thumbs up below and click to subscribe to my YouTube channel. In the top right hand corner of the screen there'll be an eye that you can click on, and that will take you to a link for the recipe, and I'll put a link below the video as well, and I'll be back with another recipe in the very near future. So until then, happy baking.